From Lagos, the nation's commercial capital, this is the news at 10, live from Channels Television. Reporting tonight,
Ijoma Oyato.
Hello and welcome. Tonight, the President gives 17 successor companies June deadline to stabilize electricity supply in the country. Federal government and New Pen leadership reach agreement as union puts aside plans for impending strike. Trial of Lagos Speaker for money laundering amounting to 339 million naira stalled again due to change of counsel. And United Nations records progress as first consignment of chemical weapons leaves Syria.
And on business news tonight, Nigeria's economy to sustain growth recorded in 2003 after GDP rebase this year.
And on sports news tonight, Belgian doctors discover revolutionary treatment for cruciate anterior ligament injury, a major scourge among footballers and other athletes.
The period of grace has elapsed for the 17 successor companies which were created out of the Power Holding Company of Nigeria, as the federal government today gave them a 6-month deadline to provide Nigerians steady power. The June deadline was handed down by the Minister of Power, Professor Chidenu Nibo, at the inauguration of the new board of the Transmission Company of Nigeria. The Power Minister warned that no excuses would be entertained for failure to achieve the June deadline. The Minister also hinted that the federal government is reviewing the power contract with Manitoba Hydro International owing to some discrepancies and strong reservations raised by the National Assembly.
Electricity Distribution Company to you.
Last year, the federal government formally gave up the ownership of 15 companies created out of the Power Holding Company of Nigeria. This is seen as a significant step to increase the generation capacity and expand the capacity of transmission and distribution network. The Minister of Power said substantial investments have been made in the nation's power sector and Nigerians must begin to experience the benefit of the process.
Mr. President has given his word. No alibis, no excuses will be accepted or acceptable. We must make sure that there is drastically improved power supply by the middle of this year.
However, there are issues with the contractual agreement with Manitoba Hydro, the firm contracted to manage the transmission system in the power sector.
PHCN was unbundled. The TCN should be unbundled, where we can have the market operator, where we can have the system operator, and where we can have the TCN. And Honorable Minister, let me tell you, a result from the National Assembly is that if the chairman is not giving powers, and indeed probably executive powers, because I've not looked at his schedule, then I'm sure that we're having problems.
If there are legal impediments existing that makes the chairman or the board not to have the driving force, and even when they have the driving force, the capacity to do so is there, the willingness is there, but there are other issues. I'm afraid we may have to resolve those issues along the line. Because if a contract of adhesion which makes one party unduly favored or it tilts towards a direction, you are giving the other party an unfair and unbalanced position to stand on.
I am, however, pleased to note that the board, under the leadership of the immediate past chairman, has so far reviewed the schedule of delegated authority earlier issued to Manitoba Hydro International, MHI, the managing contractors for the utility company, TCN. It is therefore expected that the concerns of the Nigerian public regarding the overhyped powers of MHI would now be an issue of the past.
Indeed, Privatization of electricity supply in the country no doubt comes with challenges which will ultimately determine the success of the government reform program.
Well, from power to oil and gas, and here's some good news for all Nigerians as the National Union of Petroleum and Natural Gas Workers today decided not to commence the strike action planned by the association. This follows an agreement between the federal government and the union over the sale of refineries. The meeting, which was well attended by both parties, was not open to the press, but the union says a lot of progress has been made. Now, a suspected member of the Boko Haram sect has told a panel of the National Human Rights Commission probing the killing of squatters in an uncompleted building in the Apo area of Abuja that members of the sect were meeting on a regular basis before he was arrested. Muhammad Adamu made the revelation when members of the panel visited the uncompleted building where 8 persons were killed during a military raid on September the 20th last year. He told the panel that the group had planned to attack government institutions before they were arrested.
It was a moment of revelation as the National Human Rights Commission moved its public hearing to an uncompleted building where 8 squatters were killed in September last year. A detained member of the sect, Mohammed Adamu, who spoke in Hausa, says one Suleiman, who is at large, is the leader of the sect in Abuja, and that they met 3 times a week to plan how to defend their religion before they were arrested.
Sai ce mun meeting ne na kare addini. Sai na ce mai to shikenan. Zan yi shawara da zuciyana. Sai na zo na ce mai bayan a ran da ya ga mu washe gari da safe yana zo same shi ne ce mai ugana yadda. Sai ce mun to shikenan dama kai ke so. To akwai wata rana da ya dauki jakan bindigan da yake sawa ciki. Ya shiga da shi ciki. Da ya dauka aka yi mutum a gurin ya dauka ya shiga da shi cikin mota yana ce uga me wannan abun sai ce kana so ka gani ne yana ce sai ya shiga da ni cikin mota ya ce shiga to nan shiga ya fito min da wanda bindiga wanda ake ce mai AK-47.
The suspect, who was interrogated by members of the National Human Rights Commission at the uncompleted building, says members of the group were meeting between 8 p.m. and 11 p.m. The Executive Secretary of the Commission, Professor Ben Angwe, after the physical examination of the site, announced that the Commission will conclude the public hearing by the end of the month, and its findings will be made public by February.
We are here at the site to confirm the premises and to take testimonies from the people that were involved in the operation. Well, we are hoping to round up this week, and before the end of February, the Commission will take a decision, and the decision will be read publicly, will be invited, and every Nigerian will have an opportunity of being present to know the decision of the Commission.
The public hearing by the National Human Rights Commission continues at the headquarters of the Commission, where more testimonies will be taken.
Also, another disturbing incident. 80 days after his mysterious disappearance in Eket, Akwa Ibom State, the whereabouts of Professor James Bolariwa Olomo of the Obafemi Awolowo University, Ile-Ife, have remained unknown. As a result, his family, friends and colleagues have resorted to pleading for useful information on how he can be located. At a briefing in Lagos today, civil society groups asked security agencies to live up to their responsibilities and find the lecturer in the next 2 weeks. Our correspondent Henry Ogunjimi reports.
It's been almost 3 months since the mysterious disappearance of Professor James Bolariwa Olomo, a professor of nuclear and medical physics at the Obafemi Awolowo University, Ile-Ife, in Osun State, southwest Nigeria. The 65-year-old was said to have gone to Eket in Akwa Ibom State in the oil-rich Niger Delta as a radiation safety advisor to an unknown oil and gas company. His colleagues, kinsmen, family and students say all efforts to locate the professor have been futile. They have, however, brought their cry to a larger public at the International Press Center here in Lagos.
Sad faces, but an optimistic mood filled the room
as a member of the search team and chairman of ASU at the Obafemi Awolowo University, narrates the circumstances of his colleague's disappearance.
He left Lagos on Thursday, the 17th of October 2013, by flight to Calabar and to Eket by road via Uyo. He lodged at Hotel Falem, 8 Ashibon Street, Afaha, Ukwa, in Eket, and spent 3 nights. He planned to return to his residence in Ibadan on Monday, the 21st of October 2013.
The group says efforts made so far include official reports at the State Security Service and the Nigerian Police Force in Akwa Ibom State, and still no clue. It's however resorting to pleas to the general public and the federal government.
It's a pain in our hearts. Please help us to reach out to whoever is holding on to Professor James Bolarinwa Olomo. We are begging. We want him to come back to us.
Our professor, a pillar of the family, of the town, of that community, got missing 80 days ago in this country. Please, I want to appeal, candid appeal from the family member to help us to get Professor Bolarinwa Olomo. We want to get him alive.
Lawyer and civil rights activist Barrister Bamidele Aturu will however have none of the pleas as he takes a swipe at the security agencies.
We don't know what the State Security Service is doing. We don't know what the Nigerian Police Force is doing. All we see is that the family is going about begging and pleading. I'm not going to join the family in pleading. I'm not going to join ASU in pleading. What I'm going to say is that the people of Nigeria, and I think we have a duty to say this, we are demanding from the government a statement, clarification as to the circumstances surrounding disappearance of Professor Olomo, and this must be done within the next 14 days.
Still, so many questions are begging for answers here. Could it be a case of kidnap? But no one has come out to ask for a ransom. What oil company was Professor Olomo working for in Eket? Has there been any arrest at the hotel where the prof was last seen, since his belongings were found in his room? These questions can only be answered by anyone with useful information and the security agencies. One can only hope that those answers start coming soon. Henry Ogujimi, reporting for Channels Television News.
Well, in part 2, after the break, Lagos lawyer Festus Keyamo writes President Jonathan over alleged error in the appointment of service chiefs. That's in a moment. Please join us again.